another nature art journal video. This is video number 3 if you've been following along. And if you missed the first 2, go ahead and go back and view those and then take a peek at this one. But today I'm going to talk to you about something that's kind of a fun activity to do. And you don't have to have a nature journal to do this one, but it is something that you can put in your nature journal. And that is flower and leaf pressing. So I'm going to show you a technique that I use in order to press flowers and leaves that you may have picked along your way. Remember not to pick anything that isn't yours. So if you see pretty flowers in your neighbor's yard or at a park or something, make sure you have permission to do so before you go and, pluck all the pretties from nature. So I am going to be pressing these leaves and flowers today, but I do want to do a quick leaf rubbing in my nature journal before I press the leaves, because I like how this leaf looks. This is from my boysenberry tree, and I just want to get some of that texture down on paper. So this is a little bit of an extra thing you can do. We talked about, watercolor prints and tree bark rubbings last time, but we didn't do any leaf rubbings. So of course you can do those anytime you wish, but I just decided to go ahead and do a quick one here so that I can get the impression of the leaf on my paper before I actually press the leaves. And then this is a really awesome leaf I found. It's kind of fuzzy, and I like the jagged edges, kind of a sawtooth blade edge it has. I don't know what kind of tree this came from. It's not one that I'm familiar with, but I wanted to copy it down here in my journal, and I might look it up a little bit later to see if I can get the actual identification of the leaf. But I'm going to go ahead and rub that onto my page here with my crayon. Again, when you do a rubbing, the side of the crayon is best. So there, it only took me about a minute, and I added 2 new things to my journal for today. But that's not the main project we're going to work on. We're going to work on pressing our flowers and leaves. So let's get started with that. So there are many different ways to press flowers, and if you look online, you'll see different tips and advice on how to do so. There's of course the old-fashioned way where you take your flowers and you put them between a piece of wax paper and some regular paper, and you then stick it between some really heavy books, like a stack of books. And I remember doing that way as a child, and that way works great. If you just find a cool specimen you want to preserve, stick it between some pages of paper and stick it between the books. The only thing that's a little difficult about that method is it takes time. You need a good week or so for the flowers to dry out and for the pressure of the books to flatten them. There's another way of you can stick them in the microwave between pieces of paper, and you go about 10 seconds at a time, and if you're lucky and you have something heavy that can also press the flowers as they're microwaving, that is another method. The trouble with that method is you need to watch carefully so that you don't burn your flowers, and it can be tricky, getting them pressed well. Some people also make a homemade flower press where they take 2 boards and some cloth and some paper, and they place the flowers between, and then they clamp the boards down or rubber band them down real tight. And again, it takes time and pressure to flatten out those flowers. But today I'm going to try a real simple method. It's not too fancy, but you do need a couple of things. In addition to your flowers, you need some pieces of paper, and then you need an iron. So I have my little mini ironing board, and I have my iron, and I'm heating it up right now. And my iron does not have any water in it, so you want a dry iron for this project because you are trying to flatten the flowers without destroying them, as well as kind of sucking the moisture out. So I also have an old tea towel here to place over my paper so that I don't cause any scorching. Now this method can take a couple of tries, to get right, and so we'll have to see how it goes. But I'm going to take my flower head here, and I'm going to go ahead and lay it upside down on one of my pieces of paper here. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. You just kind of think about how you want them pressed. And I'm basically making a sandwich. And then I'm going to lay my towel here on top carefully. And then when my iron is hot and ready, I'm going to go ahead and press down. And I'm not going to slide back and forth. If I rub back and forth, I'm going to destroy the flowers. So I'm just going to press, and I'm going to go for about 15 seconds at a time. So I'll press, count slowly to 15, and then lift it up again. And then we'll do it several times and see what happens. Okay, so I've ironed them several times. So let's see how they turned out. And again, this is, experimental. You never know what's going to happen or how your specimens are going to turn out. But see, you can see that this flower has dried out a bit and flattened. And then this one definitely got flattened. But even the edges got a little toasty there from the iron. So it's really a quick, kind of fun way to try to preserve a flower. And you can then put them between two pieces of wax paper and iron them that way and see how long you can preserve them. But I like how the inside of this flower has flattened out. Looks almost like fur. So that's a real quick way to press a flower and still kind of keep the colors and shapes intact. But the next thing I'm going to do is a wax paper pressing with leaves. And this is really fun to do, especially in the fall when you have all the autumn leaves and autumn colors. I'm also going to try it with this flower, which is a little more stemmy twig-like, and so it didn't have a flat, broad flower head for the other type of ironing. And then these are my leaves from before. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some wax paper, and I want to use the waxy side, and I'm going to fold the leaves and the flower stem here inside the wax. So you want a sheet of wax paper that's large enough to cover both sides of your leaves. And so again, I'm just making a sandwich, putting them between the two waxy sides of the paper. And then I'm going to cover them up with my old towel here again. We're basically going to do the same thing, 15 seconds at a time, very gentle pressing, no rubbing. And what's going to happen with the wax paper is the leaves are going to be sealed in. So this is really a fun way to do it, because then you can actually it's almost like laminating them. You can seal the leaf in and even cut around it later and place it in your journal. So let's give that a try. Okay, so here I have my wax paper pressed leaves and flowers. Takes a bit of practice to get this technique right. Some wax papers work better than others, but it's a lot of fun, and it's a neat way to preserve the things you find when you're out exploring nature. So go ahead and give these flower pressing and leaf pressing techniques a try. Again, it's your nature journal. You can do it as you wish to it. I hope you are enjoying experimenting with the different materials and ideas that I'm giving you this summer. But go ahead and again, try some pressing and see what happens. And if you can add those pieces to your journal, that'd be great. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.